Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
I am that dude, Bodkins. Patty to patty. It's ridiculous. No way. There's nobody else out there. He's your guy. Give a big round of applause for the one and only Bodkin Show. I'm going to repeat that again, folks. I didn't stutter. Welcome to the Bodkin Show.
Welcome, boys and girls. Good evening. It is another great episode of the Bodkins Show. I am that dude, Bodkins. Welcome. Again, sorry there was no hold on. Sorry, there's things just popping up. Kenny's not here doing the computer stuff today. I have got stuff popping up left and right. Anyway, Jesus, sorry, folks. Sorry there was no Wednesday morning weekly wrap-up. I'm going to try to do that tomorrow. I was out of town this morning, so went and saw the great Tenacious D last night in concert. It was an awesome time. So if you get a chance to see them, definitely do so. Bucket list material. Catching Tenacious D. Enjoyed the concert. They put on a great show. That's kind of the wrap up for my life. I mean, Jesus, that was pretty much it. It is our Week 3 NFL preview show. John Randall's already chiming in here. You love the D. I do love Tenacious D. That's the only D I love. I love a good defense. And speaking of good defense, you know who it is. My main man, always joining with me, loves the Bears, he loves the good D. And give it up for my main man, Kraig with a K, joining me tonight. Kraig, what's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Terrific. Before I forget, before we get into it, Kraig, I got to let you all know the Bodkin Show t-shirts are available. I'm rocking one right now. You can get them in a tank top. You can get them a regular tee. I'm reading some comments here. Randall's is chiming in. Got me saying D instead of T. Chiming in here. So, but anyway, the link for the t-shirts is in the description. So if you want to order yourself a nice little Bodkins t-shirt, please, do so. Helps some people out. Promotes the show, all that type of good stuff. As Chris Landis always says, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and go buy a shirt. Exactly. So appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Well, Kraig, it's Week 3. How we feeling going in here to Week 3?
Feeling all right picks-wise. I didn't obviously like the way that Bears-Packers game turned out, so hoping for a bounce-back week from my team and hoping I can keep the picks rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, we're so let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and just jump into it. I guess our guest picker, supposed to have Jim Biringer of contributor, full press coverage, hockey and wrestling and bets, and he does nightcap, recap, and connoisseur of college NFL football. But Jim is nowhere to be found. So Jim, hopefully will be joining us, and we'll go back and kind of get his picks if he joins us here. Not too sure where he's at. Checking the phone. Haven't received anything. Wow, first no-show, no cancel here. Geez. If you're wondering where Kenny is, Kenny's on the way to the hospital, folks. So baby en route, it seems like. New baby Miller. He was trying to get in and was doing the pre-show. I said, get your ass out of here, man. No wonder your wife is, going to be mad at us because you're over here trying to chime in. Get your ass to the hospital. Have a healthy baby, Kenny. And Amber, we wish the best of luck to you. Amber, I don't know how you do it. She's a saint. Kraig, let's go ahead and jump into it. You got something to say, Kraig? Were you jumping in here?
No, just best of luck to Kenny and Amber, and hopefully we'll have a baby Miller tonight.
Yeah, baby Miller tonight or tomorrow morning. So let's get that done. Let's get it, hopefully all healthy. So we probably won't be seeing Kenny the rest of the week. Hopefully next Wednesday he'll be joining us again, but you never know. take all the time he needs. He's doing a lot of stuff for us behind the scenes, and that's what he was stressing about out. Right here is these slides. Guy was stressing out. So we looking at it, Kraig, and remember, folks, we are playing for the best record of all season, trying to get the gold chain, the Bodkin Show #1 gold plate here for the chain. And your boy had a bounce back week. I went 10-6, leading the way last week. Kraig, you went 9-7. Kenny went 8-8. Overall, though, Kraig, you were whooping everybody's butt. You're 20-12 through 2 weeks. I'm 15-17. Kenny's 17-15. But last week I went 10-6, so I'm turning it around. You went 11-5 was your best week. So, week 1 doesn't mean anything because I didn't know who was who week 1. In our guest,
long way to go.
Long way to go. That's right. Week 2, we had our guest picker was Johnny Cruz. He went 6-10. So overall, our guest pickers are 13-19. And it looks like I can't even read this. We're going to the next slide. Rob Logan was 9-7, and that's what it was. And he was the best picker. Couldn't read the screen. Wouldn't get off of there. All right, so let's get into it, Kraig. Our Thursday night game. Heavy. This is both teams 1-1 here. Browns coming off that heartbreaking loss. The Steelers looked really good week 1. Not so good week 2 against the Patriots. Browns at home, favorites at 4.5. How you like this game, Browns Steelers? Browns at 4.5 favorites.
This game, it's a good old-fashioned AFC North game. I feel like it's going to be a run game, a defensive game. I don't like this game for either one of the quarterbacks. I don't really like this game for the receivers on a fantasy level. I think it's going to be a lot of, like I said, a lot of running, a lot of defense, a low-scoring AFC North type game. But 4.5 points, man, I'm going to take Pittsburgh in this game for the picks. I probably take Cleveland on the money line, but I think it's going to be just a close kind of dogfight the entire way. So 4.5 with Pittsburgh. That's how I'm going.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right. The Browns, their defense looked real bad last weekend. So this might be a prime spot for Mitch in that offense to kind of let it go. Maybe get the receiver game going. Not still kind of banged up, but I still kind of like the Steelers here at plus 4.5. The over-under is at 38.5, it looks like. I'm almost take the under because I think both these two teams want to run the ball and control the clock. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, and I think, Pittsburgh hasn't really showed you much offensively, that they can score. Cleveland's defense has looked a little susceptible, but I don't trust Pittsburgh's offense to put a lot of points up, but I do trust their defense to keep Cleveland from putting a lot of points up. So I think it's going to be, it might come down to which one of these quarterbacks makes the least amount of mistakes.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that too. I'm going to lock it in. I'm locking it in here, Kraig. I like the Steelers at plus 4.5. I even like the Steelers money line here on Thursday night. I got more faith in the Steelers. No Jadeveon Clowney for the Browns either. So no Clowney for the Browns, and we obviously know no Watt for the Steelers on Thursday night. You feel like Mitch has got to have a good showing here. Like Mitch has got to, because last week we saw a lot of teams, they were already chanting for Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, and you just don't know how that's going to affect Mitch. Mitch has kind of been, through situations in Chicago. So, this pressure of the young kid behind him, we'll see what kind of effect it has on him. I don't believe in the Jacoby Brissett Browns right now, but Pittsburgh, they got to show me that they can score the football. Their defense has been playing, pretty well lights out on their end. The offense just got to score points. So, this is a game where it's a great opportunity for Mitch to have a breakout game. especially the way Cleveland's defense has looked. But I'm not betting on it to happen,
Yeah, I 100%. Let's move to the next game here. We got the Texans going into your Bears. Bears, I'm surprised here at -3 with the Bears at -3. The Bears are 0-2. Looked real bad on Sunday night. The Texans, I mean, they played the Broncos real tough. It was a game that they almost could have won, and then they obviously had the tie week 1 against the Colts. Are you surprised that Bears -3? Your Bears getting some points here, or giving away points? I mean,
yeah, I am somewhat surprised. Bears also 1-1, but I am surprised the Bears are favored. I guess. I mean, this is one of those games, somewhat a pick 'em. You give the home team a field goal, I guess. Maybe is where the spread works in. Outside of being a homer, this would be a tough pick, man. Lovie Smith coming back to Chicago. I mean, the Texans aren't a bad bet money line. So with the field goal, they're not a bad bet. But I'm going with the boys at home to have a bounce back week. Week 1 at home against San Francisco, it was a monsoon, but they played well at home. Going to Lambeau is never kind to the Bears. It was a tough game week 2, but I'm going to take Chicago to somewhat bounce back here week 3 and win at home. And I'm going to take them by more than a field goal.
You alluded to it, Kraig. You said it's Kitty's chiming in here. He said should be Bears -1.5. So I don't know if that's a typo on his part or if that's what the spread is. But you got Bears. You got Bears anyway. Even if it's -1.5. I got Texans minus at +3.5 or +3. Even I got the Texans money line, Kraig, here. You alluded to it. Lovie Smith revenge game. First, Lovie Smith going back into Chicago, team that he used to took to the Super Bowl many moons ago. But, I mean, the Texans just seem like they're well-coached, well-prepared. So Kitty's chiming in here. Go have a baby, man. No typing, just saying that's what I think this should be. So, hey, Kitty's always chiming in, even when he's shouldn't be. Hey, love you, brother. Anyway, I got the Bears. I got the Texans at +3 for sure, and I'll probably even take the Texans money line. Lovie Smith, lock it in. Nice game for Lovie here. Kenny's chiming in here. He's saying, give me the Bears to cover. So Kenny's on the Bears to cover. So you and Kenny both like the Bears. I'm on the Texans. What have the Bears shown us that give them -3? That offense has been atrocious through 2 games.
Yeah, and we'll dive into it a little bit more too when we get into some fantasy stuff. But the Bears, I mean, all they're doing right now is trying to run the football, and they've got to show that they can throw the ball too. I mean, so far their defense has kind of outperformed what people have expected a little bit. It's hard to take away because that game 1, the weather was so rough, and then game 2 is against Green Bay. So I feel like there's still a lot to learn really about both of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And as far as there's a lot to learn, it's still early. They are kind of who we thought they would be at the same time. And nobody's let them off the hook. But I guess the Colts let the Texans off the hook and missed a field goal. And that's how the Texans ended up 0-1-1 here. But, hey, I mean, the Texans have looked I think they played – I don't know if the Bears got a beat down. But you talk about week 1, I mean, I don't even know what's going on with the Colts. It's a toss-up game, I guess, in Chicago. That's the reason the Bears are -3, like you said. But I just like the Lovie Smith revenge tour here. I like Patty Mills. Not that I don't like Justin Fields. It's going to be a low-scoring game. So I'm just going to go ahead and I like the Bears or I like the Texans at +3. Let's move into Texans. Raiders going to the Titans. Raiders -2, so there's a pick'em game. The Titans coming off that freaking beatdown they took at the hands of the Bills. They also lost to the Giants week 1. So 0-2 and 0-2. Both of these two teams need a win in a bad way, Kraig. I mean, the Raiders had a 20-point halftime lead on the Cardinals and just watched Kyler Murray just doo-doo on him in the fourth quarter, especially to come back and win that game. And then Hunter Renfrow just gives the ball to him, scoop score. Raiders 0-2, and they need a win in a bad way. Is this the week that the Raiders get it turned around, or are you hopping in on the Titans, even though they just looked like, awful against the Bills a week on Monday night?
Yeah, man, the Titans haven't really showed us anything on offense. The Bills is a tough matchup. Bills have looked fantastic through 2 weeks, but the Titans didn't look good against the Giants either. So, like you said, must-win game for both of these teams, but I feel like for the Raiders, season's on the line. It sounds kind of crazy, week 3, but in that division and in the AFC, you're going to have to win a lot of games to get in the playoffs. I think the luxury that the Titans have right now is that whole division looks bad. So you might be able to start the season 0-3 and still win the AFC South. I think the Titans are in less of a bad spot if they lose this week. I think the Raiders, you can't go 0-3 in that division with Kansas City and the Chargers. So at that point, I feel like, you're not even a quarter into the season and you already know you're playing for a wild card spot. So huge game for the Raiders. Basically a pick 'em spread, and I'm taking the Raiders, like you said. The last game out, Kyler Murray lit them up fourth quarter. Titans don't have anybody to do that. I don't trust their offense to do a lot when they fall behind. We haven't seen them be able to move the ball in the air much. We know who and what Derrick Henry is, but I like the Raiders to win on the road and cover the points.
Yeah, as far as Derrick Henry, man, you kind of alluded to it. The Titans have just been getting behind, and they can't grind him out like they used to. Maybe they're trying to make sure he doesn't get hurt and save him. But your season, the Titans can go 0-3. We talked about it on Sunday's show. It's been 7 years since a team went 0-2 and made the playoffs, much less 0-3. I do feel like the Titans could eventually turn it around because their division is better. But the Raiders go 0-3. Man, they got some rough sledding ahead because their division's going to be tough, so they're going to lose some more. And then, like you said, they're probably not going to win the division. You're really shooting for the wild card. But you start off at 0-3, there's going to be some other teams that, in the AFC East, you got the Bills and Dolphins, and you got in the AFC North. Hopefully the Bengals can figure it out, and you still have the Steelers, the Ravens, even the Browns, all still like capable teams who have at least one win. I know it's real early to talk about they're not making the playoffs because anything's possible, but Raiders, Titans both got to figure it out. I thought the Raiders looked better overall as an overall game, than the Titans did on Monday night. Ryan Tannehill's looked real bad. That team looks like they missed A.J. Brown and some weapons. Taylor Lewan went out Monday. I haven't heard an update on him, whether he's playing. I'm all in on Oakland or Las Vegas getting the win here in Tennessee at -2. The money line, it's a pick 'em game. Both those teams looked bad second half for sure. Titans, pulled Tannehill in the midway through the third. They still got to stick with Tanny, right? For now, is that your opinion here, Kraig?
Yeah, honestly, I think you stick with Tannehill until, you're falling behind in the division. Like we said, it's the luxury that they have right now is nobody in that division looks very good. Nobody's running away with it. So you can get off to a slow start and still win that division. But I think it's too early for them to make that transition away from Tannehill. Way too early.
Yeah, I was on Buffoon and Bodkins on Monday, and somebody asked that same question, and I said, if you listen to Titan reporters, they've all kind of said Malik is great athletically, but he can't throw a football. They said he's very inaccurate. Ryan Tannehill's still better. He hasn't looked great. This might be it for Ryan Tannehill if the Titans start really struggling, and they might just say, hey, we're going to pull the plug, and we're just going to let the kid play and just let him get some experience because it's looking real bad right now.
Yeah, and I mean, come mid-season, if this division looks the same way it does, they might just try to use that to ride a hot streak to win it. If nobody looks like they're taking on, that might just be a way to do it. But I feel like right now, I mean, Mike Vrabel, I think he likes Ryan Tannehill, and I don't know that. I mean, Malik Willis is better athletically, but they just, like you said, man, they're missing some weapons on offense that they're used to having, and their style is play good defense and run Derrick Henry until the third or fourth quarter. The other defense breaks, and right now they haven't been able to do that because they've been falling behind. And week 1 they allowed Saquon Barkley to run all over them, and then week 2 they allowed the Bills to throw all over them. So I just haven't seen much to like about him all the way around. I don't know that making a change at quarterback changes a whole lot for him this season. So I feel like they just got to ride Ryan Tannehill out.
Yeah, I mean, they could wait and then wait till about week 7 or 8. Wasn't it? It was the Ravens, Lamar's rookie year. They were down, switched. I think Joe got hurt, and they put Lamar in, and bada boom, bada bing. There goes Lamar and ready to go, and he takes the almost wins rookie of the year and takes the reins and they haven't looked back since. So it could be a similar situation to what that year what we're looking at here with the Titans. Let's go ahead and move to Chiefs -6.5 going to Indy. Indy gave them the big old turd of the week last week. They've looked awful through 2 games. Couldn't score any points against Jacksonville. -6.5. I mean, after the spreads we saw last week, where a lot of spreads were -10, 12, this game should be higher. I'm surprised this isn't -10.5. Maybe it's just because it's not Arrowhead and it's at Lucas Oil. How you like this game? Chiefs a favorite going to Indy at -6.5.
So at first I was feeling somewhat underdogish in this game because it just has a little bit of a feeling. The way the Colts have come out and laid 2 turds, basically, Chiefs coming to town. This is like a game where Jonathan Taylor just goes off for 200 yards, and for whatever reason, Kansas City, makes a couple missed plays, and the Colts are in it. But I just can't do it, man. What I've seen 2 weeks out of Kansas City, what I've seen 2 weeks out of the Colts, I mean, you give me 10 points right now, I'm probably still taking Kansas City with that. So 6.5, basically a win by a touchdown. It is on the road. But what we've seen out of the Colts in 2 games versus what I've seen out of Kansas City in 2 games, I'm taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts I picked as my Super Bowl favorite to get there. God, I am jumping off. It's week 3, and I'm jumping off that bandwagon. God, they look awful. I'm looking for a new team here. It might be the Chiefs. I mean, I'm -6.5 here. What the Chiefs didn't cover against the Chargers, but at -6.5, I just think they get it. Lock it in. I'm all in on the Chiefs. The Chiefs just get it done. If they don't cover this time, I'm no longer picking the Chiefs to cover. That's for damn sure. This is 2 weeks in a row. I'm riding with Patty Mahomes, Andy Reid. I like the Chiefs money line for sure. The Colts got to show me something. Until they can show us something, you got to continue to pick against them. The Colts Titans would be. Oh, if I told you, Kraig, Colts and Titans would be 0-3 going into week 4. Beginning of the year. You probably would. That's probably going to be the shocker if that's what happens, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, if you're going into week 4 and neither one of those teams has won a game, that's not what we expected. I mean, everybody picked one of those teams to win the division, at least on this show. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely a surprise.
Yep. Yeah, it is, and I like the Chiefs look really good. Their offense. Pat Mahomes continues to spread the ball over while Matt Ryan just seems to can't find any offense in Indy. Hopefully Michael Pittman can come back for them. It'd be a nice little upset if the Colts could win, but I like the Chiefs here at -6.5 to get it done against the Colts. Let's do it right here. Maybe the highest scoring game. 2 teams have looked really good. I would say 2 of the 3 of the best teams that have looked really good through 2 weeks, and that's The Bills at -5.5 going all the way down to Miami to play the 2-0 Dolphins. Both these two teams 2-0. This to me should be a primetime game. Get the Giants and Broncos game off Sunday night. Get the Cowboys and Giants off Monday night. Stick this game in prime time because this game looks to me the game I really want to watch this weekend. Kind of see the Dolphins, how good they're really, how good they are. And, the Bills absolutely through 2 weeks look like the best team in football.
Yeah, man. This one was kind of tough to pick. I went back and forth a little bit just because Miami did, look so good there in the second half last week. And a lot of times those are kind of performances that you build off of. And, Miami's got a little bit of swagger right now, and they've got a lot of confidence. And the Bills, the Super Bowl favorite, they're coming down to Miami, coming to town. I feel like Miami has a lot to prove in this game. And they're riding behind McDaniel, and they got a lot going on. But right now, the Bills are a juggernaut, man, and they look like a freight train on a collision course with another freight train in Kansas City, and that's all they care about. And they're gonna smash anybody in their way. And I can't go against them right now, man. I'm taking Buffalo. It's a big spread on the road, but I'm taking the Bills to cover. I think the Bills are out to prove something.
Yeah, man, like you said, the Bills are out to prove something. They've just putting it on them. Their defense looked really good against the Titans last week. They forced a lot of turnovers. I mean, they sat most of their starters in the fourth quarter. But the Dolphins just had that never say die attitude right now where, there's so much speed on that team with Jalen Waddle, Hill, Chase Edmonds. It's going to be a track meet. The over-under is 53. How you feel about that before I give my pick, Craig? 53. You taking the over?
I probably am taking the over. Neither one of these teams' defenses are any slouch. Tua had a great game last week, but I worry about getting, a little bit of signs of what people worry about with Tua here against the Bills defense. Bills defense has looked really good through 2 weeks. But I do still think both these teams, they just got too many weapons on offense to not score some points. So I probably take the over on it.
Yeah, it's a lot. 53 is it's almost too much. Like 53 is a lot. I'd almost take the under because I don't like taking 50-point games. But with those two offenses, it's hard not to from what they've shown the last 2 weeks. -5.5. It's the Buffalo's looked really good. Miami's looked really good. But Buffalo gets a 20-point lead on you, what the Ravens did. They're not giving that up. So lock it in. I'm going in on the Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. All right, let's get into the next game here. Vikings at home, -6 against the Lions. Detroit 1-1. Minnesota kicked Green Bay's butt week 1, but looked like absolutely dog butt on week 2. How do you like this? Lions have looked pretty similar their first 2 weeks here. Lions headed to Minnesota Vikings favored -6, Craig.
Yeah, that week 2 game with the Vikings, it was prime time. That was Kirk Cousins. That's what we know. That's kind of what we expect. This game, just a regular Sunday game at home against the Lions. I feel like the Vikings are going to bounce back in this game. But if there's one thing we know about the Lions since the beginning of last year, man, is they're in a lot of close games, and they covered the spread a bunch last year. And to me, this is a big spread for the way the Lions have looked and the way Minnesota looked on primetime there. So I'm definitely, even though they're on the road, I'm taking the Lions with the spread that big.
Man, Craig, this is why we need somebody else, because we're just thinking a lot alike tonight. Or maybe it's just we're figuring this out week 3 here. I'm 100% with you on this too, man. Plus Detroit has looked well. Even if they get behind, which I think that it's possible that they can. I like the Lions at +6. I mean, because I just think if they're going to get behind, Goff will figure it out, and they'll start slinging the ball all over. And next thing you know, it's a 3-point game, and something like that'll happen. And it'll be a field goal game. If it was like 3.5 or somewhere like that, plus Vikings plus 3.5, I'd probably like it a little bit more. But at -6, give me the Lions, man. At plus with the points at +6. I'll take the Lions with their points. So lock it in. I continue to say, hey man, we're biting off kneecaps, man. Lock it in, man. We're with the Lions, man.
The Lions have got a decent shot to win this game, I think. So, I mean, +6.
Oh, my camera fell every time. Every time. One day I'll figure this thing out. Yeah, Kraig. I mean, they do. I said at the beginning of the year that I have the Lions getting second in this division. So that's the reason I took the Lions to win this game. I wanted the Lions to win it. So, all right, let's keep moving here. Ravens at the Patriots. Ravens -3 going into Foxborough here. The Patriots didn't look so good week 1, looked better week 2 and got the win. Ravens give up the big lead to the Dolphins. Both teams 1-1 here. Both teams, I say every team needs to win, but both teams 1-1 here week 3. Ravens -3 headed to Foxborough, Kraig.
Yeah, the Patriots did bounce back. I give you credit on going with your boy Bill Belichick in that game.
Well, he's not my boy. I was just smart.
And the Ravens, they did give up a huge lead last week, but Miami's offense, has shown me a whole lot more than New England's offense has. I don't trust New England's offense to come back from a deficit near that big. And even though, New England's defense is good, I think Baltimore's going to be able to score some points. So I think I'm going to take Baltimore to win this game on the road. And, man, I feel like that spread is almost right on the money. It's like a tie game. Justin Tucker wins it late to win by 3, but I'll take Baltimore.
One thing that we've shown is that the Ravens can score points. The one thing the Patriots haven't really shown us is that they can score a lot of points. So the today's game is made to who can score the most, who can score the quickest, and who can score the fastest. And not many teams do it better than the Ravens. They may be able to limit a little bit of Lamar Jackson, but I'll tell you, Lamar has looked much improved as a passer this year than anything. It's one of the things that's been ridiculed from him, but this year to me, he has looked like just a better, more accurate passer, especially on the long ball. We've seen a lot of long touchdown passes from him. Maybe it's just me, Kraig, or do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that, man. And I said it in our preseason deal, man. Lamar is just, with all this contract stuff and everybody else getting paid and Lamar holding out, I just feel like he's going to go crazy this year, and he's going to have an absolutely great year. They've been these first 2 weeks they've been using his legs less, and you say that he had a 100-yard rushing game, but it just looks like there's a lot less drawn up for him to get out and run. And he's doing a lot of passing, and he's looking good. A lot of long touchdowns. Him and Mark Andrews, look great as usual. And the Ravens, their offense definitely looks like they can compete with the best in the league. Their defense is what's going to have to step up if they want to be able to compete with like Buffalo, Kansas City, teams like that. I think this week's a good test for Lamar against a Bill Belichick defense. But yeah, so far, man, Lamar has looked kind of right on course with where I had him in the MVP talks.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. Landis is kind of with you. He says Lamar looks bored. It's too easy, no fear. I mean, we kind of said it. We've been on that Lamar Jackson's going to go scorched earth. He's going to continue to go scorched earth. I said the Patriots wouldn't go 0-2, but they're going to go 1-2. Lock it in, Craig. We're both in on Lamar here at -3 with the Ravens. We've got one game different, Craig. This is why we need 3 people, because you know, I know me and you too much. You know, geniuses think alike. Hey, let's get into it. Bengals surprisingly 0-2 at -5, headed to the Jets, who comeback victory against the Jets, against the Browns last week. Joe Flacco looked Joe Flacco elite. So we got one bad game, one good game out of Joe, but out of Joe Flacco. Craig, how do you like it? Bengals -5 headed into New York here.
Yeah, man, you said that we've had a lot the same so far, and I mean, I'm guessing we're probably going the same on this one, because I'm going kind of with your second boys there. Joe Flacco looked good last week, but like you said, man, it's Joe Flacco. So, you know, week 1 looked terrible. Last week looked good. I expect a pretty mediocre Joe Flacco here in the next game. Joe Flacco kind of gets to run through the AFC North their first 4 games, all 4 of the NFC North teams. The teams Joe Flacco is familiar with, I guess. But, man, the Bengals need a win here. And I mean, this is a prime spot to get one, going on the road against the Jets. The Jets are coming off a big win. They probably feel pretty good, but I think the Bengals they're just more talented, man. They've got a lot more. Joe Burrow's got to lead this team to a victory. I mean, if they can't beat the Jets here, man, you got to really start worrying about the Bengals. So I'm taking the Bengals not only to win, but to cover.
Yeah, -5. I think you're right. This has got to be the right game, right, for the Bengals to finally turn around. Where is your offensive line, Cincinnati? You kind of talked about that was your turd of the week. Was that you, right? Turd of the week was the Bengals offensive line on Sunday.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that on Sunday, how bad their offensive line looks. This has got to be the get-right game. It was supposed to be last week against the Cowboys. Now that's got to be against, you know what? No, I'm going the other way. You couldn't get it done against Cooper Rush and the freaking Cowboys. You're not going to get it done against the Jets. I'm hammering home Joe Flacco and the Jets. I'm turning my back against my boy Joey Burrow and the boys. Get it done. I think I like the Bengals money line, but somehow the Jets are going to make this a close game, because the Bengals are always in close games. The Cardiac Bengals. I like the Cardiac Bengals money line, but I like Joe Burrow and the Jets to cover, baby, at +5.
This kind of the Joe Cool Bowl, right? The old Joe Flacco and Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Joe Burrow's way cooler than Joe Flacco ever wishes are, you know, he could be. Wishes he was. Everybody wishes they was as cool as Joe Burrow. All right, Craig, we get into the Eagles Commanders here. Eagles -6.5. Eagles have looked really good through 2 weeks. Put it on Darius Slay. Put it on Minnesota. He had like 3 interceptions. I mean, just absolutely shut down Justin Jefferson, shut down that Minnesota defense our offense on Monday night. Eagles, though, -6.5, headed to Commanders to face one of their old quarterbacks, Carson Wentz. Who you like in this one in the Wentz revenge game? At +6.5 for the Commanders.
Yeah, man. So Philly looked good, but like I said, it was against primetime Kirk. So Darius Slay having 3 interceptions, like, almost just doesn't even surprise you whenever you see who is throwing the football on the other team on a primetime game. This game, man, the Eagles have looked really good, and the Commanders are, you know, led by Carson Wentz. So to me, they're a very hard team to trust. But man, the NFC East is just the NFC East, and any of those 4 teams, if you're going to give me the home team basically plus a touchdown, I'm going to take them. So I like Philly to win this game on the road, but it's an NFC East game. It's going to be a tough-fought game, and I got the Commanders covering.
So, I mean, you just said they have Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is Kirk Cousins light. So I expect he is the Kmart version of Kirk Cousins is Carson Wentz. So I will take I just think the Eagles, we've talked about Tua looking good. I mean, Jalen Hurts has looked good. Washington still got some pieces missing. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Eagles are going to get up big. I like the Eagles at -6.5. Lock it in. Guys, I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to fix this camera thing situation when I hammer home something. I have to get some tape it to the top of my camera because that thing falls if it's going to fall every time. So I like the Eagles at -6.5. Let's go ahead. We're moving on to Saints -3, headed to the 0-2 Panthers. Saints 1-1. Tough game against the Bucs last week, but my favorite at -3 here, headed to the Carolina.
Yeah, man, another road team favorite. Seems like it just feels like there's quite a few of those this week. But kind of with what you've seen out of Carolina, man, that's like I told you, man, I'm off the Panthers bandwagon. I'm off the Baker Mayfield train. They stink. And the Saints, I mean, I had them beating the Bucs last week. Tough fought game. They were in that game most of the way. Tampa just made some plays late and pulled it out. But I like the Saints a whole lot more than I like Carolina. I like the Saints at least 3 points more than I like Carolina, even though they're on the road. Jameis Winston can show you flashes, and I feel like this is one of those games where we might see some of that. I think New Orleans offense can just score a whole lot more points than I trust Carolina's to do right now. So I'm taking New Orleans on the road and to cover.
Yeah, I mean, it's -3. I'm surprised this spread's not higher because the Saints, to me, have looked a hell of a lot better through 2 weeks, than the Panthers have. Kenny's chiming in here. Never pick Carolina. That's the rule. So we know where he's headed to. I'm kind of with him on that one. I'm not picking the Panthers either. I'm all in with you guys. Give me the Saints at -3, even at -6.5, I'd probably take the Saints. They just look a lot better team. They're going to have a bounce back week. That defense is going to be fired up. As long as Jameis doesn't throw those bad interceptions, which, I mean, that's a huge if. Give me the Saints, though, at -3 for the Panthers.
Who do you want if you're down and you need a touchdown scoring drive to win the game? Do you want Baker Mayfield or Jameis Winston?
Aren't they the same guy?
Exactly. So, I mean, if you're worried about Jameis Winston, making a mistake, Baker Mayfield's just as much capable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I had this conversation with Tanner and on Monday's show, and they were one of our guests, and they were trying to say who was better. Our guest he's a Saints fan. Why am I drawing a blank on who our guest was? But anyway, Tanner was saying they were kind of higher on Jameis, and I was not. And I said, all those guys are the same. Jameis Winston, Carson Wentz, they were high on Kirk Cousins. I'm like, all those guys to me are the same. 15 to 20 range of quarterbacks in this league. Make them up how you want, write them down how you want, but they're the same guy, and they ain't getting you to the promised land. So I guess Jameis Winston's is the Popeyes version, and Baker Mayfield is the the Reebok version. I don't know. The church's chicken, I guess. Fuck, they're the same. They're the same guy.
If it's one or the other, though, I'm taking Jameis. And, 3 weeks ago I might have said Baker, but if it's one or the other, I'm taking Jameis.
Yeah, I'm probably taking Jameis outside of his corny antics inside the game, the locker room, and the stuff he says. I probably will take Jameis in the short end. I'll take both. I'll take the Saints right now because they have the better weapons. Give me the Saints weapons with Jarvis Landry, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Olave. I'll take them over DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson any day of the week. I'll take the Saints coaching staff.
Right. I'll take. That's why. Even on the road and favored, I'm still taking New Orleans in this game.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Kitty's chiming in. Best game is better than Winston's. Baker's best game is better than Winston's best game. Baker playing for Rule and Jameis playing for the Saints is what changes it. Exactly. Matt Rule should be fired yesterday. Awful. Kitty's chiming. He said Baker in New Orleans is better than Jameis in New Orleans. You agree with that?
I think Baker in New Orleans is better than Baker in Carolina for sure. So that's definitely debatable. Personality-wise, man, I just feel like Baker's got more dog in him, and I like that type of guy. I liked more of Baker's best in Cleveland on a good team over what we've seen from Jameis. Jameis has shown he can throw for a ton of yards, but throw a bunch of interceptions at the same time. But right now, I'm still taking Jameis Winston. I'm taking New Orleans Jameis over New Orleans Baker, but I'm definitely agreeing that Baker in New Orleans is better than Baker where he's at right now.
Yeah, I like I said, if Baker, I don't know. That's the same. They're the same. It's hard for me to pick who's who. I kind of do like. I do like Baker's mentality more than Jameis. Jameis, I feel like can sling it a little bit better. I don't know. They're the same. That's a toss-up, man. Today I could tell you Jameis. Tomorrow I might say Baker. Just depends on the day of the week. But I tell you, ain't either one of you getting you a Super Bowl. That's what I'll tell you. That's one thing I'm for damn sure of. All right, let's move on to Jacksonville headed to all the way across the country here, taking on. I about said the San Diego, but it's the LA Chargers. Chargers only -7 favorite here. I thought this spread, again, surprisingly, this spread's not higher at -7 after some of these other higher spreads that NFL just fixed it last week and said, hey, we realized the spreads were too high on some of these teams. We got to shorten it. And now it's probably almost too short. -7. St. Chargers are Jacksonville there, Kraig.
So I think that the reason the spread is where it's at is everybody's kind of unsure about Justin Herbert right now. The coaching staff says he's going to be all right, man, but you just don't know until we get out there and kind of see how he plays. He definitely made some plays there at the end of the Kansas City game after that hit, but he was obviously in some pain. So we're going to have to see how he holds up for a game. I'm a big Chargers guy. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, but I'm kind of leaning towards Jacksonville to cover. The Chargers usually charger. They usually find ways to let teams get back into games that they have no business getting into and cutting them close. And like I said, we just don't exactly know how good Justin Herbert is going to look this weekend. So I'm definitely taking the Chargers on the money line to still win this game, but I'm going to take the Jaguars with the touchdown.
So Kitty says Jags been steady cover, and that's why the spread isn't higher. And then Landis says Chase Daniel going to earn that check. So Chase. So all the reports are reporting that Herbert is practicing, seems to be ready to go for Sunday. I think having that extra couple days from Thursday all the way to this last Thursday to this Sunday. Gives them some time to heal. Did you say you're taking the Jags to cover there? You got the Jags to cover. I like the Chargers. They've already charged a game, and that was last week when they could have outright beat Kansas City. So they turn it around. I'm taking the Chargers at -7. Give me Justin Herbert and the boys. He said he stated today he's going to play. They ain't giving him a shot again. Hey, Kenny said they're not giving him a shot. Yeah, they're not they're not letting that trust in that doctor to shoot him in the lungs.
No, they let that happen once before, and that's how they kind of got him out there. So they definitely ain't doing that to him, man. Same doctor, man. It's crazy. Yeah,
let's get into another high profile game here. The Rams headed to Arizona, 3.5 favorites for the defending champs as they take on the cardiac cards after last week. Kyler Murray, we talked about it, what he did with the Raiders. Kyler Murray got another trick out of his hat here to cover the spread at -3.5.
Yeah, I mean, so far the Rams, I mean, week one was week one, and it was against the Buffalo Bills, but they didn't look great. And last week, I mean, they had a pretty big lead, but they let Atlanta get back in that game. And, Atlanta actually had a chance there at the end of it. And Arizona, I mean, they looked all right there in the second half against the Raiders last week. So this is another division where they play a lot of close games, and Arizona and the Rams seem like they always play a lot of close games. You put the 49ers in that mix, always a lot of close games. So at home as an underdog, I'm taking Arizona.
You're taking Arizona with the 3.5 plus 3.5.
Yeah.
There's just some things that Big Brother does better than other things, and that's the Rams. They're gonna Big Brother the Cardinals. They've been doing it. Sean McVay, I think he takes is personal that everybody that I don't know, people outside the world or inside, they thought Cliff Kingsbury was just maybe better looking than him and better, like, smarter coach. So he takes that personal. So it seems like the Rams always somehow end up putting it on Arizona. I mean, yeah, Arizona covered. I mean, had the comeback. The Rams, you're right, they didn't look good against Atlanta. They had that game won and Atlanta come back. But I just think the Rams are going to get it together. This is it for the Rams. I like the Rams at -3.5 headed into Arizona. I think this is the game where they turn it around and show, hey, this is why we're the defending champs, because they're going to smack their little brother back down, coming back off of that week of where, had that game got to had the Carolina been 0-2, and especially the way they looked that first half, there'd be a lot of loud side talk about people's jobs and did they make the right decisions about things. Because that first half, Arizona hasn't looked good. They played 2 good quarters of football of the 8 games played. Maybe really 1 good quarter. So,
yeah, as a Cardinal fan too, that's not what you want to see, because they're kind of known for coming out hot and fizzling at the end. So you don't want to see a rough start. And they barely squeaked that one out. And like you said, if they didn't squeak that out, man, there'd be a lot of talk about Kyler Murray's contract. There'd be a lot of talk about Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, let's get into the next game here. Kind of a pick'em game. Atlanta won it. Is Atlanta 0-2? Oh, they've lost both games. 0-2 Atlanta. Taking on the Seahawks, the 1-1 Seahawks.
Yeah, so Seattle week 1 with the Russell Wilson coming back to Seattle, that was just a huge game for them, a huge game for Geno Smith. But I feel like that is probably going to be the best Seattle Seahawks that we see maybe all season. And Atlanta, I like some of the weapons they got. I definitely, if it's one or the other, I trust Marcus Mariota over Geno Smith. The spread's basically a pick 'em. I got Atlanta on the money line going on the road and winning this game. I don't think that Seattle is that good, and I think Atlanta is just a little bit better. Good enough to get on the road. So with a spread that small, it's basically a pick 'em. So I'll take Atlanta.
Yeah, the Seahawks looked good against week 1 against Russ and got that win. It was, Atlanta was winning that game against the Saints, and the Saints kicked the game-winning field goal and then blocked Atlanta's field goal in week 1. Atlanta's looked good, and they even had almost a comeback from behind victory against the Rams that we talked about. I'm with you. You said everything right. I like Atlanta. Geno Smith. Hey, everybody wrote me off. I ain't writing back. Well, guess what? You should have been writing, Geno, because you are exactly who we thought you were, and that's garbage. All right? You ain't that. Give me Marcus Mariota. Atlanta gets their first win of the season. Lock it in. It's Atlanta here getting the first win in Seattle. All right, Kraig, we get to Packers headed to Tampa. Bucks at -1.5, the favorite there. It's a pick 'em here. Green Bay or the Bucks? Who do you like here? Battle of the Bays. You're muted. There you go.
I couldn't get it off. My thing froze up for a second. You told me last week, man, don't bet against Tom Brady. But this kind of feels like one of those games that, Green Bay wins in the regular season but loses in the playoffs. I definitely think Green Bay has got a chance. Like I said last week, even though it was against my Bears, that was kind of the perfect setup for Green Bay to kind of get it together and bounce back. But I like what I've seen out of Tampa. Mike Evans is going to be out. Tom Brady could be missing a lot of weapons, and that worries you. Green Bay's defense looked a lot better last week, but again, it was against Chicago's offense. So time will kind of tell there. Pick 'em game, Tom Brady at home. I'm anti-Packers, so if I get a chance to pick against them and feel pretty good about it, that's the way I'm going. So I'm taking Tom Brady and the Bucks.
Yeah, both these guys, a lot of young receivers, right? And new guys. Russell Gage still kind of working his way, trying to find a groove there with Tom. Same with Julio. No Godwin, no Edmonds for the Bucks. Packers offense looked better. Hopefully, it looks like Bakhtiari's. Who knows? Keeping our fingers crossed that he's going to play. You know who I'm picking. It's a pick 'em game. I picked against the spread last week, and I was dead wrong. So I'm riding with the Packers. If we lose this game, I'm not picking them the rest of the year on the show because it would be bad luck because this would be 0-2 if I pick them when I pick them. But I'm riding with the Packers in the pick 'em game headed to Tampa Bay. All right, let's get to the Sunday night game. The 49ers now with Jimmy G. Another pick 'em here over headed to Denver. Denver has not looked good at all. They did get the win over the Texans last week, but their offense has just looked abysmal as new head coach, new quarterback. But we were all excited about let Russ cook, but maybe we should be taking those things back now.
Yeah, I kind of worry about Denver here. They're at home. It's going to be a tough game here against San Francisco, man. I've been the anti-San Francisco guy here, but a lot of that revolved around Trey Lance, and now that Jimmy G is back, I'm suddenly kind of a San Fran believer again. They kind of got it. They got the pieces back together. Debo's there, healthy. Ayuk's healthy. If George Kittle might be back this week, Jimmy G's out there. It's a pick 'em game. It's a 1-point spread. I got San Francisco winning it on the road, man. Denver just hasn't shown me a lot. Jerry Jeudy could be out. Russ might not have a lot of weapons, and San Fran has been really tough against the run. So, Russ might have to cook to win this game. And so far, their offense hadn't showed me enough. So I'm taking in San Fran.
Oh, man, this is a tough one. Johnny Cruz chiming in here. Feels like a must-win for Denver. This is a tough game. I've thought about it. Jimmy G is back. They looked a lot better with him in there. Kittle could be playing. When is this Denver team gonna get going? When's the light gonna kick on? Kenny's kind of already spooning it. Said it must be. It's a must win. They won't win. Broncos fans gonna be calling for Hackett's head soon.
I think they get it together maybe week 6 or 7 ish, and who knows even what their together looks like.
Yeah. I read I was listening to something, and one of the things they said Hackett didn't do a good job is getting like that experienced coach in there, like a veteran guy to kind of help him out and make some decisions. They got a lot of young guys, a lot of young coaches. Like they don't have that experienced veteran dude, So, man, it is a toss-up game. When it's a toss-up game, I don't have a horse in the race. I'm going with Denver. This is the get-right game for Denver somehow, some way. I'm going on the Broncos, baby. Let's ride, Broncos. All right, Craig, let's get into the Monday night game here. We got we got the Cowboys coming off the improbable win with Cooper Rush still at the quarterback helm, running the show. +2, it's a pick 'em against the Giants. The Giants -2 really is the favorite, but it's really a pick 'em game. Cowboys-Giants on Monday night.
Yeah, this was somewhat tough to pick, the NFC East. Like I said earlier, they always play each other tough, and Dallas kind of surprised us last week. I don't know if that's more about kind of where Cincinnati is at right now, but Dallas's defenses look good, and if Dallas's defense can play the way they have so far in the first 2 games, they're going to be in a lot of games, no matter who's at quarterback. This one, man, Cooper Rush, Daniel Jones, who do you trust more, man? Don't trust either one of them. Both these teams have got a pretty solid running game. But at the end of the day, Mike McCarthy, I'm not trusting him. I'm taking Dabo right now over Mike McCarthy. I'm going to take the Giants to win this game and kick off to a 3-0 start for the Giants. It'd be huge for them. And I'm going to take them to cover. I think if it was like a 3.5, I feel like I might go the other way on the spread, but I'm going to take the Giants to cover.
Yeah, Kenny's got a point here. He says DQ has the defense balling out, and that's going to keeping them in a lot of games. I agree. That defense looks fired up. The Giants' offensive line's got to do better than what the Bengals' offensive line had to do because they don't have that offense. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. What's the under there? 39.5. I'd still take the under, man. I think it's really going to be a low-scoring game. I don't have a lot of hope for either one of these offenses. I was kind of leaning towards the Giants, but I just think the Cowboys have a little bit more playmakers, even without Dak. But also, man, like you said, I don't trust Mike McCarthy either, but I don't trust Kellen Moore either. Some of the play decisions and play calling that he's been drawing up. Run the football. Where's Zeke been at for 2 games? They just give the ball to Tony Pollard nowadays, right? Feed Tony, not Zeke, right? So, we got some chiming in here while I think about this. So, Kenny's kind of saying this game's got 2017 written all over it. Johnny chiming in here. He's saying Yankees, Giants, 17-13 Giants. So, I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game. You know what? I picked the Giants earlier today on the sheets. I'm taking the Giants, baby. Dayball gets it done. The smarter decision. Stupid camera. Lock it in. I'm all in on the Giants. All right, Kraig, you know what time it is. Let's hit the let me get this off of here. Oh, you know what time it is. It is time. It's time for K&K Fantasy Corner. All right. It's time for K&K's Fantasy Corner. Go ahead, Kraig. Give us your first must start of the week.
Yeah, so Kenny pointed out to me earlier that he's now listed as a top 20 back. When I looked at things, he was listed 24 for the week, but I had Cordero Patterson because listed at RB 24 for the week in the rankings on ESPN. There means he's in flex conversation. I know he didn't have a huge week last week, but overall in 2 weeks he's top 10 in touches and yards, scrimmage yards right now in the NFL. So I feel like if Cordero Patterson is on your team, you shouldn't be, contemplating whether or not to put him in the flex. He's basically RB2 conversation, so he's a must-start for me this week.
All right, I'm going to pop this screen over here. Looks like his Kenny's is Tony Pollard. We kind of alluded to it. I believe Tony Pollard's kind of outsnapped, Zeke, and people are, selling Zeke or getting rid of Zeke here.
Not just out snapping him, doing more with his touches, Yeah,
100%. 100%. Look through two games, Tony Pollard. So give us your next must start here, Kraig.
Sorry, my button keeps on freezing up. So it looks like me and Kenny are kind of in the same territory here at wide receiver with Commanders wide receiver. Curtis Samuel, man, he's getting a lot of opportunity so far, first 2 games in the offense, getting a lot of targets and also getting some running plays, kind of Deebo Samuel light-ish. And Curtis Samuel, another guy, he's been doing a lot with what he's been given. He's got a touchdown in the first 2 games. It makes me a little weary that he'd find the end zone in 3 straight games, but the amount of opportunity that he's getting right now, Curtis Samuel, man, if you've got him on your team in the flex, I think you got to start him.
Yeah, and Kenny's got the other Cardinal, Jonathan Dotson, who's wide receiver 39. He's high on him. I kind of agree with Kenny here. He's even chiming into the comments. Samuel getting the target volume, Dotson getting the high volume targets. Both dudes playable. So he kind of agrees with you. He's just on the other Washington receiver and Dotson, who's been catching some touchdowns. That's the high kid that they drafted. So I kind of like that.
Fantasy wise, it's only been 2 weeks, but you wouldn't think that Terry McLaurin would be wide receiver number 3 fantasy wise on his own team. Both these guys have had 2 pretty solid performances 2 weeks out.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, start throwing to Terry McLaurin because he's on my team. All right, let's get into your next must start here, Kraig.
So tight end wise, I just try to usually look for a guy kind of outside of the top 10 that has top 10 potential. And so far, Evan Ingram hardly even rostered on a whole lot of teams out there, but he had 8 targets last week. And I think this game against the Chargers, the Jaguars are going to have to throw the football a little bit to keep up. Christian Kirk has showed that he is a real weapon there in Jacksonville, but I think Evan Ingram is kind of emerging as one, and I feel like he's a good stream this week, and Evan Ingram might turn into a tight end that stays on rosters, for a good part of the year, if not the entire year. I think Evan Ingram's going to become a weapon there for Trevor Lawrence, so I got him as a must-start tight end this week.
Yeah, Kenny's got Hayden Hurst. I think kind of similar reason why your reason is playing for Evan Ingram. Hayden Hurst has really kind of been that outlet valve for Joe Burrow. When that rush has been getting into him, we've seen Hayden Hurst he's been bounced around a little bit. 2 years ago was a nice little, just a guy you could keep playing when he was with Atlanta. Obviously, then they draft Kyle Pitts. But Hayden Hurst has been a veteran guy that is very playable. I think he caught 5 or 6 balls in that Cowboys game. The week before that, he caught 3 or 4 balls. if he finds the end zone, he's definitely a guy that can shoot into that top 10 for range.
For sure, both these guys, Ingram and Hurst, borderline top 12 tight ends so far this season, neither one with a touchdown. So if you can get basically a top 12 tight end when you don't have touchdowns, you're looking at like a top 6 tight end on the week if they do find the end zone.
All right, give me your first sit-em of the week here, Kraig.
So my running back sit of the week, and you can tell the rankings don't like him a whole lot this week either, is Melvin Gordon. I said it earlier, man, San Francisco, especially in fantasy, really tough against running backs. That's kind of been a trend for a while now. And the first 2 weeks in this season, it doesn't seem a whole lot different. I have Javonte Williams on my team. I don't feel great about him this week, but he's a guy I feel like if you've got him on your team, you have to start him. But if you have Melvin Gordon as a flex option, I feel like this is definitely not the week to play him.
Kenny's got Jeff Wilson as his first sit-em of the week. Denver's defense has done really good against the run. I believe that's probably one of the reasons. They're also going to run Deebo. Johnny wants to know Miles Sanders or Michael Carter in the flex here.
I'm probably going Miles Sanders. Just because I feel like Miles Sanders has a better chance of finding the end zone than Michael Carter. Breece Hall might start getting a lot of those red zone plays. He looked pretty good in some of them last week. So, I mean, aside from that, these guys about volume-wise pretty close to the same. So if I'm betting on one to get in the end zone, I'm going to edge towards Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I'm kind of with I like Miles Sanders a little bit better. I think we expect Breece Hall to kind of take that job eventually from Michael Carter, and I think you had to be encouraged by that in week 2. So I'm kind of on the Sanders. Kenny as well. He says Carter too much competition for carries. So the one thing you worry about in Philly is the designed runs with so update on the baby contractions at 2 minutes, fellas. I'm out of here. So, hey, he says, love you boys. Good show. So, hey, and we love you too, brother. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for doing this, chiming in.
Yeah, good luck to you, Kenny. Hope everything goes well for you and Amber this evening.
So, yeah. Thanks, Johnny. Always. Let's get into your next sit-em here for the week here.
So this is another guy I got on my fantasy team, and I'm very nervous about playing him. We play in a 3-flex league, so I might play him this week. He's actually got opportunity for a bounce-back week, I think. But Darnell Mooney, only 5 targets through 2 games. The Bears have just not thrown the ball very much. The first game against the 49ers was – a ton of rain. It wasn't a throwing game. But last week, down most of the game against Green Bay, man, you would have liked to see Chicago throw the ball more. So until they start doing it, Darnell Mooney is probably the only Bears pass catcher on your fantasy team unless you're playing in some deep leagues. I feel like basically droppable at this point if he's on your team based on what other tight ends are out there. So as of right now, until I see more out of the passing offense on Chicago, Darnell Mooney is hard to put in the lineup. So I got him as a fit this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would stay away from all Bears off. Like other than David Montgomery is the only semi-playable player on the Bears right now. I would stay away from everybody else other than Montgomery from the Bears on the Bears. Mooney. You just said it 5. You're like he could have a bounce back. It's hard to. Of course you're going to bounce back. We only got 5 targets through 2 games, Kraig. If you get 6 targets, it's a bounce back game. So I would stay completely away from him. Kenny's added Jerry Jeudy. I think a lot of that has to do with injury. He's on the sit Jerry Jeudy wide receiver 29. Just I think due to the fact that Jerry's. Judy's kind of banged up, and a lot of Cortland Sutton in week 2. So he's on the stay bench Jerry Jeudy. Who's your final sit-em, Kraig?
So So at tight end, I had David Njoku on my sit list. This game, the Browns Steelers game, really, I'm staying away from, most of the guys that aren't running the football. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Najee Harris, got to play those guys.
Amari Cooper, you can play Amari. Amari's playable.
And Deontay Johnson is probably playable too. I mean, you don't sit those guys really. But outside of that, maybe Pat Freiermuth might have a good game. But I said it earlier, man, I think both these quarterbacks are not going to have great games. I think it's going to be kind of a slow pace, running the football, real low scoring, old kind of AFC North type of game. The rankings don't seem to like him this week either. But David Njoku, if he's your tight end, I'd stream a different one for the week.
Yeah, and then Kenny's tight end is Gerald Everett, tight end number 10, just due to I don't really know why he's not here to say why, but that was his sit-em. Probably just feels like Chargers going to be up and maybe running the ball, so not a whole lot for Gerald Everett. Maybe Keenan Allen's supposed to be back too, I think, so that could be a possible reason for both.
Yeah, and again, we got to see Justin Herbert. There might be a whole lot of dump offs to Austin Eckler and running the football, and tossing some stuff up to Mike Williams. But we'll kind of have to. That's definitely something to keep an eye on this weekend. Is how Justin Herbert looks.
No doubt. Well, Kraig, that kind of wraps up our Week 3 preview show. Let me ask you this before we get out of here. What game are you looking to forward to the most on Sunday?
Three,
I guess, altogether.
The homer in me obviously is looking forward to Lovie Smith coming back to Chicago. That's just the homer in me. But outside of that game, there's a few on the slate that are going to be good, but I think the Bills and Dolphins is the one that you kind of got circled right now, man. It's a big measuring stick, I think, to see really where the Dolphins are at, or did the Ravens just kind of, blow a game last week? We've seen them do that before, and blow games late, especially early in the season. They did it last year, I believe, to the Lions, or there was somebody that they did it too early on. So Bills Dolphins, I think is the one most excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a great measuring stick for the Dolphins. And, it's a game that the Bills could lose, but we were both on the Bills there. So, the Bills absolute wagon here right now. It's going to be tough. They're going to be tough to beat. So, I'm kind of with you on both of that games. So, appreciate everybody. We're going to get out of here right here. Kraig, I appreciate for joining me as always. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. Remember, if you want a Bodkin Show t-shirt or koozie, hit the link in the description on the YouTube or the Facebook. It's in there. You can order your t-shirts that way, folks. So be a friend, tell a friend, share with a friend. We'll be back on Sunday night, all talking about Week 3, our post show, breaking down every game, setting you up, back with some more fantasy advice. So be a friend, tell a friend, share with a friend. We hit the subscribe button. We're also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Head over there, give us a nice little 5-star rating, and give us a nice subscribe. So make sure you're hitting the sub button too, folks, hitting that nice little bell on the YouTube. We'll see you Sunday night. We should be around Sunday morning for head kicks and haymakers. We might take the week off. We'll see what Kenny's thinking there. And there's no fights, and we'll see what there's talk about. Maybe we'll do a little head kicks, haymakers Sunday. If not, then we will be back Sunday night here, 8:30 Central Time Zone, breaking down Week 3. For Kraig with the K and Bodkins, we are out. Thank you for another great episode of the This has been another great episode of the Bodkin Show. Hit that outro, baby, right now.